Good morning, friends. I hope you're all doing well. And in the previous video, we had a discussion about liberal economy. So today's class is focused on neoliberal economy. So for understanding this particular class, you have to refer the previous video, of course. So let us start with today's class. Neoliberal economy, that is the return of liberal economy. So whenever any theory returns back, it is prefixed with the word neo. So that is why it is called as neoliberal economy. That is the return of liberal economy. So why liberal economy was not continued for long was because of the various inherent drawbacks which I've explained to you all. The drawbacks were there. For example, the resource allocation could not be achieved if an economy is completely liberalized, or it leads to a lot of income disparity amongst the people. That is, the rich become more rich and the poor become more poor. So the poverty and exclusion was created as a result of liberal economy, and as a reaction, welfare economy or the socialist economy concept grew. So after the liberal economy was adopted by a lot of nations, what happened was socialist economy concept grew. For example, in China, during this phase, socialist economy now, of course, if we compare with the present times, China has opened up its economy to an extent, but still, when it started, it was completely a socialist economy. Now, what is the question that arises over here? What is a socialist economy? A socialist economy is one in which the government is going to own the major resources of the nation. That is, it is going to make sure that the welfare of the public is a major motive than earning profits. So the role of government increases in case of socialist economy. So the upcoming video lecture is going to be about that. So before that, so but right now let's just focus on neoliberal economy. So the return of liberal theory is called as neoliberal school of economics. And so what happened in 20th century was liberal economy again found favor in the world when socialist economy failed. So of course, socialist economy also had its own drawbacks. For example, in India, let us take the example. So when the government is going to own a lot of resources, the government sector often is blamed for inadequacies like incompetency, lack of caliber, profit generation. Often government bodies are into losses. Why? Because their objective is welfare and not actually earning profits. So for that, they suffer a lot of losses. For example, recently, a lot of public sector banks are under losses. They have reported a lot of NPAs. What are NPAs? NPAs are non-performing assets. That is, the loans have not been returned. For example, in the recent article by Finance Committee of India, Standing Finance Committee of India, it reported that out of the total quantum of NPAs in India, 85% belongs to the public sector banks. So you can see how public sector banks are hugely failing. Of course, the government interest is there and they might be protected in the future, but still, uh, it reveals how incompetent they are getting by time. So, example, why public sector banks? So these were the basic So there were certain drawbacks under a socialist economy, which we are going to discuss in future. So for now, you need to understand this, that because of the drawbacks of the socialist economy, the liberal economy made a return. So when the theory returned, the assumptions under neoliberalism didn't change much as it was returning to the original theory, and consequently called for limited role of the government and again focused on globalization, liberalization and privatization. This talks about India in 1991, which called for a similar growth model, that is globalization, that is integrating your economy with the world economy, liberalization, that is allowing your economy to be participant in various FDI approvals, that is basically supplementing the globalization process, and privatization, that is the owning of the goods lies not just with the government now but also the private sectors who can improve the condition, who can bring competition, who can bring India to the global competition. So in 1991 called for a similar growth model which is in alignment with IMF and WTO. What is IMF? International Monetary Fund, and what is WTO? World Trade Organization. Both of these bodies are focused on ensuring that these three goals are achieved. An economy is globalized, it is liberalized, and privatized. And the basic reason that they've quoted for promoting these objectives is because If an economy adopts this particular model, it will make sure that consumer welfare happens, and they are delivered the best products, and they have a lot of choice, and proper optimum resource allocation happen throughout the globe, and the economies are not restricted within their own geographies. So, in 1991, neoliberalism makes a comeback. Example now for the recent examples that we are moving forward towards a totally a liberalized economy. For example, Donald Trump government has reduced corporate taxes, and now reduction of corporate taxes means what? It is promoting the private sector to play a major role in the economy, and cut down of Obamacare. What was Obamacare insurance? That is my question for you. Please research on this topic, else I will make a separate video. But for a brief, I can tell you Obamacare insurance was introduced after the financial crisis in 2008, wherein people suffered a lot of losses, and insurance coverages were provided to the people. But as soon as Donald Trump assumed power, he abolished this because uh, it was adding to the fiscal deficit of the government, because the government had to pay so much money and has to insure insurance of so many people. So Donald Trump, as soon as he assumed power, he abolished this Obamacare insurance. Another example in India, if we talk about example in India, Nirmala Sitharaman is allowing FDI in various sectors, and the recent announcement being the FDI in defense sector, and that too more than 70% FDI is now being allowed in defense sector. So that is getting debatable, as to defense is of course related to the sovereignty of a country and security of a country. So why FDI is being allowed in defense sector? The justification given by Nirmala Sitharaman is so that the arms equipment, uh, artilleries can be developed as per the world standard, and the Indian Army is equipped with the best technology. However, there are certain section of people who are saying that this can hamper or can pose a threat to the security of the nation. So let's just see how this turns out to be. So there are positive as well as negative points of it. Now, what are the problems of a neoliberal economy? Just like a liberal economy, there are certain problems with the neoliberal because it is a return of the liberal economy theory. Inclusivity suffers because rich become more rich. People who do not have the resources are not a participant in the economy, and they lose more resources. They lose more income. Inequality sharpens. Public services will be neglected because government the public services are neglected. By because private sector is focused on profit generation. For example, right now, if you see the pandemic situation going on, if you analyze and read the newspapers, you'll get to know that it is actually the government hospitals who are actually treating people on the front foot, whereas the private sector has taken a back seat. It is not just because of it is not just because of the private sector not being motivated to do so, but also because of certain government regulations which are required to be followed by the private sector. So we cannot completely blame them, but yes, it is the public sector who's actually treating the public on the front foot during this pandemic time. Education health sector suffers if there is a completely liberal economy, because why would you a profit making education institution, why would they open an education institution in a poor area who cannot pay their fees? So that is where the socialist economy concept comes in, that the government has to be there in certain sectors wherein the private sector would not be able to survive, and we cannot really blame them. Environmental degradation is a burning topic, is been discussed so frequently with Paris agreement. So many goals are every time, you know. For example, International Solar Alliance, which has been done recently between matlab, not which was initiated by Narendra Modi ji, and under the International Solar Alliance, whose inauguration the headquarters are established in Gurgaon, whose inauguration for the inauguration of the France prime minister was invited. So what is under the International Solar Alliance? Modi ji initiated this in the UN body and invited nations to be part of this project, wherein we can utilize the solar energy as the means of, so in order to or replace the fossil fuels which are, which are more harmful to the environment and are not renewable in nature. So the objective is to use more and more solar energy for our day to day usage. And the current goal of India is like somewhere 170 gigawatts of solar energy production. So that is some extra knowledge you can research about. And then threat to sovereignty. Obviously, threat to sovereignty happens in case the economy is completely left to private sector, because of course there are no rules and regulations who are going to govern their operation, who is going to ensure the transparency, who is going to ensure that they work in the nation's interest. So there are certain drawbacks of liberal economy. So in the next class, we are going to discuss about the socialist economy, which has been referred into this video. So please, if you've understood this video, please join in the upcoming lecture too. Thank you so much.